My snout's a wanker.
Imagine not being able to control what comes out of your mouth.
Oh, faggots. Cellulite.
This is Tourette's as you and I know it.
All hail Lucifer. Penis.
But Tourette's is misunderstood.
Faggots.
It's not a condition about cursing,
Gone in a mother bomb.
but rather it's where involuntary actions known as tics take over. And this is what's happening to 9-year-old Annalise.
It can get hard when she's making the massive tics which put her to the ground.
Difficult for Annalise and difficult to watch. Her family have struggled since she was diagnosed 8 months ago.
The shock just set in because, of course, you hear the word Tourette's and you think people swearing all the time. And it seemed to, as far as I was aware, it was only an adult disorder. I'd never heard of children having Tourette's. We just burst into tears and couldn't believe this was happening to our little girl. So tonight, do you think we should put costumes?
At first, Annalise's tics were just unusual noises. But now they take over her whole body.
Oh, you stand up, love. It's okay. I don't want it. Oh. And you can just see this panic-stricken look on her face because she just wasn't expecting it. It just creeps up on her.
As time goes on, like most Tourette's sufferers, the tics are becoming worse.
Sorry, it's right. Quite random. They're not like a constant.
The ones I still find hard and the tics she still does that are bad are when she's seated, it seems to, when she's sitting at the dining room table.
Olivia?
Yeah.
It's worrying for everybody because it's very violent and her chest will literally hit the table when she's trying to eat.
So it can be quite physical, and I think that's one thing people don't understand is how draining and how physically demanding the tics are.
What does it feel like to have a tic?
The urge feels really annoying because like you just really want to let it out, but you don't want people to stare at you.
Does it make you feel embarrassed?
Yeah, a lot of the times.
She is a very lonely child, and she tells us that she's lonely. She doesn't like going to school with the tics. She doesn't like people looking at her, and she worries about people calling her names. She came home from school one day and said to me, "Nobody likes me, I'm weird."
In a few days' time, Annalise has decided to address the seniors at her school and tell them about her Tourette's. What would you like other people to know about Tourette's?
Explain, I have Tourette's, I'm still a normal person, so just deal with it.
Not at the moment. She's had a few accidents. She fell over and she's grazed the under
Right.
her lip.
Annalise is one of hundreds of children in New Zealand diagnosed with Tourette's. Dr. Brian Craig is her psychiatrist.
Normally, this disorder will manifest itself in early childhood, so somewhere between the age of about 3 and 8 years. It tends to worsen at puberty. It is, however, a lifelong disorder.
The cause of Tourette's is unknown. However, it is believed there's abnormal communication to an area in the brain that filters thoughts, some of them triggered, some completely random.
The excess firing off of neurons occurs without the usual frontal control, so it's kind of like a disinhibited, discontrolled movement. It might be triggered by something, sometimes it will just happen for no reason at all.
So it's like having no filter.
For these people, that filtering mechanism doesn't work.
Despite there being thousands of people with Tourette's throughout New Zealand, there's been no support network until now. Annalise's mum, Robin, has recently set up New Zealand's only support group. These Christchurch families are meeting for the first time.
Oh, it's great. It's nice that kids know they're not alone and there's other people out there and they're just normal.
Michelle and Ross's daughter, Brooke, also has Tourette's. Her tics are mostly facial, involuntary grimaces and eye rolling.
I think it was our neighbour who's a nurse. She said to me one day, she goes, "Oh, she's got Tourette's."
And we're like, no, you're having us on.
Sam Cook was diagnosed at 8 years old after he relentlessly made strange noises.
It was really scary because, you know, your kid's doing this thing.
But not only does he have Tourette's, but also ADHD and obsessive-compulsive disorder. These conditions often go hand in hand with Tourette's. Most sufferers have the combination of all three. Both he and his parents only get respite through medication.
We hate medicating him every day.
When he wasn't on it, he was just gabbling the whole time, non-stop. Noises and talking and just moving about. And
He's got to have a chance to be able to concentrate at school and to interact with people.
Annalise's tics are so strong that she too needs to be medicated.
I don't know that she would cope with everyday life if she wasn't on medication. I'm hoping that as she gets older and as she learns to mask the tics and sort of cope with the tics a bit better, that we can start to reduce the medication.
After the break, Annalise talks to her first adult with Tourette's.
What kind of tics do you have?
I have that one, so throw my head back.
And she confronts her classmates.
I would just like you to like not stare and like point and stuff and like laugh.
I often describe for everyone else who doesn't know Tourette's as it's like a sneeze that wants to come out and is going to come out, and you might as well just let it out. I also just describe it as like, say, having a fizzy can and you're shaking it, and wankers, wanking. You have a fizzy can and you're shaking it, and it's just better to just let it go. Oh, faggots, wankers.
London-based Ruth Adaji has had to come to terms
All hail Lucifer.
with the little Lucifer inside her.
Lucifer. Emotionally, it has been very crippling. You sometimes have to, you know, put your warrior suit on to be able to do anything with.
And Annalise is about to put her warrior suit on. In just a few hours, she faces her classmates to talk to them about her Tourette's. But first, she has a little pep talk with Ruth, who Skypes her from London. And a warning: offensive language is part of Ruth's condition.
Oh. So this is Annalise.
Hello.
Aren't you gorgeous? What a pleasure to meet you.
Well, Annalise hasn't met that many people with Tourette's because it's a rare condition, and of course in New Zealand there aren't that many children or...
More sheep, mate. F***ing sheep.
Is it okay if we throw some questions at you? Certainly, yeah.
Okay. Did your tics get worse as you got older?
Yes, most definitely they did. It's a bit weird because I thought that they would sort of like lessen and become less noticeable, but they've not.
What kind of tics do you have?
I have that one, so throw my head back. I do that quite a lot, so my arms flay out quite a bit. I copy people. I'm pretty good at accents, but without the tics, I'm pretty rubbish at them.
So you'll be speaking with a Kiwi accent today?
Ha, g'day, mate. I will be, yes. I have, you know, about the swearing tics.
Has swearing ever got you in trouble?
Jews. And then, as I say that, I do a really offensive one. So I would, it has. I think sometimes I have been lucky that I am a woman. Most of the times to have, you know, friends around me who have been able to hurt to stick up for me as well. What sort of tics do you have?
I have that one.
Yeah.
And I have one when I trip over my feet.
That's a tic. That's actually a tic.
And the good thing is it's not contagious.
Ha ha ha! Yes, it is. No, it's not. Exactly. That's a good thing about it. I'm
having a speech for my team today. For Team 1, there's all the year 7 and 8 seniors. And I'm trying not to tic so they don't like laugh at me.
You know what you're doing is a really amazing thing. So many of us who live with the condition never go out because we're so embarrassed, and that inhibits us so much. But it's so important what you're doing, and I really applaud you because I don't think I could have done it at your age.
Hey, thank you so much for talking to us.
No problem, mate. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
How are you feeling about this speech now? Are you going to be okay?
I'm a bit nervous actually.
At Annalisa's request, the seniors of her school have gathered so she can tell them of her condition.
I think it takes a lot of guts to get up in front of other children and explain that, yeah, I am a little bit different, but I can't help it, so please accept me for who I am.
There are two types of tics, vocal and body. You may have noticed I do more of the body. Sometimes people say things because they don't understand. For example, what's wrong with you? They might call me weird. And often, they just stare.
What would you like from us to help you?
Well, I would just like you to not stare and point and stuff and laugh.
So just carry on as normal?
She's hoping that by sharing, they'll understand a bit more and she will hopefully maybe make some friends, which is what we all want.
What does ADHD mean? Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. What's that?
They just have their brain tells them to do something slightly different to what other people's brains tell them to do.
So I have no idea.
I saw a fantastic quote once. My brain is currently experiencing technical difficulties.